Yeah, so we're back again. Number
Yep.
two.
First one, we looked it over. It wasn't too bad.
No, it wasn't horrible.
Yeah, it
wasn't
wasn't
horrible.
perfect. We can obviously do a little couple things to make it a little bit better over time. But
Absolutely. I watched it over and it wasn't bad. It wasn't bad.
yeah. So how did you feel about yourself? Like I already said, I criticized myself way too
Uh,
much.
I didn't even want to dive into it. I was
Yeah.
just like, listen, look, you're either gonna like it or you're not gonna like it.
Right.
That's it. But it is what it is.
Yeah.
This is me, this is you, and hey, we're just having a conversation. That's all it is.
Yep.
So
And you gotta start somewhere.
you gotta
so.
start somewhere. Yep, you absolutely gotta start somewhere. So hey, I didn't even want to criticize myself the way I sound. I was like, I cringed a few times, but I got through it.
Right. Exactly. Which you do.
I got through it. So but it's what you do. The more you do it, the more comfortable you get. But then again, it's just like I explained to one of the guys who watched it. I said it's all it really is. We're just talking and we just record ourselves talking.
Right.
That's all it is. There's nothing scripted. There's nothing. There's nothing
Pre-planned.
Exactly.
Or anything like that.
It's like
You don't
we
write
just,
down like a docket of things you want to talk about. I mean,
Yeah,
you can,
exactly,
You can,
Yeah,
just
so I think we hit a few good points on the last one.
yeah.
I mean we kind of started somewhere, but we ended up somewhere else. But that's typically how conversations go. You start one thing and then it leads to another thing.
Yeah.
Because no conversation's ever fluid, like unless you're like at a TED talk or something like that. And
Right, a one-person conversation.
Exactly, and you're asked to speak on one specific thing, and then you take that thing and you talk about it and keep going. But in normal life, when you have a conversation with your friend, husband, wife, whatever, you start off with one thing and then you jump on something else. You might be like, oh yeah, by the way, I forgot that, I meant to tell you this, and something else comes up, and before you know it, you're talking about something else.
And that definitely happened a lot. Because, like, looking back at it, there was, like, so many different ones that I was like, oh, I wanted to, like, ask him about this or that or go down this path. But I was like, nope, okay, let's just keep on rolling and see where this goes. And then just those pathways just close off. And looking back, I'm like, all right, eventually I'll ask him about that. But...
Yeah, and I mean, the more we do it, the more like, it'll get more fluid, like you said, it'll get more on the spot type things, and it'll be interesting when we actually start bringing in, guests and see how they react to, certain situations and things like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm okay with it,
Yeah. And it definitely brings, like you were saying, like a lot of stuff to think about, like throughout the week, like a lot of things that go through your mind. Like you were saying, thinking about race and all that.
Yeah, I know that was a big one for me, because it's just been there's been so many things going on. Like, I mean, you know about the Kobe situation, and then the thing that happened with Gayle King recently, trying to shoot him down with the whole rape thing, and then Snoop got involved.
King? Again, I'm like, oh, yeah. She was the interviewer, right?
Huh?
She was the interviewer?
Yeah, she was interviewing Leslie, I forget her last name.
Yeah.
But she's basically Kobe's really good friends. I think they grew up together. And then, it's like, she kept talking about the whole rape thing that happened in 2003.
Right.
And, I mean, that wasn't even what got me started with that. There was just so many things, throughout the week that I was like, can we really end racism?
Yeah.
That's the big question that's on my mind. Can we end it? And then, but more so, how did it start?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, but, last week, we touched on something when I kept saying, like, they keep trying to put us in a box. Like, when you apply for a job, you have that box that says, Black, African American, Caucasian, Hispanic, other, you know what I mean?
Right.
It's like they keep trying to make us choose a certain category.
Exactly.
And I'm like, why is that?
Yeah.
And, how did racism start? Like, some people say, oh, well, it started, back when, in this slave time, or because it was blacks and whites were the masters, and I was like, yeah, but that's what they told you.
I wouldn't even say that. Like, that is what they told them, but that's as far back as they looked, because they're only looking back to the history of America. But America is like one of the youngest countries out there. Correct. Like, slavery existed way before America.
Correct.
Like,
and the thing about it was, when people get shocked about this, but if you really look back in history, slaves was not just regulated to a certain color.
Exactly.
There were white slaves.
Right.
People don't tell you that.
And there were black people that enslaved other black people as well. Native Americans
there were black people that enslaved white
Native Americans.
Yeah. But they don't talk about this much. And when you of course, you go to school and what you learn about is that, white people owned black slaves, but that's really very inaccurate. It's not the whole story.
Not at all.
It's like taking a portion of that story and telling it over and over and over so many times that everybody now believes that, okay, this is the only story that exists.
Right.
And again, because people don't really do the research, so guess what? People say, okay, well, this is what it is. But because at the end of the day, again, you know how I talked about the last time we were talking about how in the Bible you don't really see races, you see tribes and stuff like that.
Right.
Like, the color of your skin shouldn't matter who you are.
Yeah,
it should not matter at all. Like, you can't tell me that I'm inferior because of the color of my skin. That would be like saying, okay, let's take I like cars, so let's take BMW. Everybody knows BMW, right?
Yeah,
luxury car maker, German. They've been around for forever. Like, they make the best cars, super expensive, but super cool. All right, so if you have the same identical cars, same make, same model, same horsepower, same everything in it, and one's blue and the other one is, I don't know, let's say green. You can't say, oh, well, the green one is inferior because it's not blue.
Right.
It's got the same exact thing in it.
Yeah, exactly.
The only thing that's different is the outer color.
Right.
So you can't tell me that, well, the blue one's better. Well, why is it better? Well, because it's blue. I mean, green, nobody likes green. Well, no.
People think that red makes it go faster.
No, exactly.
Or some shit like that.
Exactly. No, there are people who like green, So it's like, that's really, for me, what it boils down to. You cannot tell me that you're more superior just because of the pigmentation of your skin.
Right.
To me, that's just like, okay, I can't really wrap my head around that. You know what I mean? So for you, if you're telling me that, that's not a good argument. For me.
It's definitely not. It's not like a thought out argument.
No, it's not. It's really not.
If anything, I would say that racism is definitely like a human form construct. Like, there is no racism in the animal kingdom or anything like that. It's just animals eat and devour other animals, carnivores, herbivores, stuff like that. But I think it comes down to just the fact that as long as there are two human beings that exist next to each other, there's always going to be some form of egoism. And as long as there's like an ego there, one person's going to think, okay, no, this is thinking a little too deeply.
But no, that's the thing. You have to, because if you don't, it's like you never gonna get to the bottom of it.
Yeah, people are going to criticize each other based on anything, and race just tends to be a convenient thing that they can criticize somebody else on. Exactly. If it wasn't race, they would criticize them on something else. Exactly.
But I think the race thing is shoved in their face so much,
because it's too easy.
Exactly, and
it's too easy.
We fall for it. Most people fall for it.
Yeah.
Even the ones that say, "Oh, I'm not racist," it's like,
but they always throw out the but.
I mean, the fact that you say you're not racist, you start off with that.
Yeah,
you kind of are. You know what I mean?
Again, in all honesty, everybody is a little bit though. Everybody has a little bit of bias in them,
and I think it's because it's so much in our face that you kind of have to. It's almost like if you don't, they're saying you have to pick a side.
Right.
No, I don't have to pick a side.
Yeah.
I don't have to pick a side. Like, I choose not to pick a side. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I like people equally. You know what I mean? I mean,
right.
you know, and then you can't tell me, oh, well, you know, white people are smarter than black people are smarter than white people. Not
There's
necessarily.
Plenty, exactly.
Like, you know,
there's gonna be like smart and dumb people.
Exactly.
Of every
on this
color
side,
and
and smart and dumb people on that side.
Exactly.
You know, so it's like, no, it really doesn't, like...
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't make sense, you know?
Okay. All right. So let's try to form it... I don't know. Let's try to put a clear-cut form on it. So what is racism? That's the question.
Okay.
Like, is racism only looking down on something? If you like a certain nationality more so than others... Let's say if a dude is into Asian girls. If a dude's into Asian girls, that's not racist to think that a certain race is good, is it? But it's more so racist when you think down upon other races, right?
Okay, so I think when I think of racism, I honestly think about, maybe hate is a strong word, but dislike.
Okay, dislike.
Like intense dislike for certain people that look like this.
Right.
Or, I wouldn't even say act. I would say more. It's more. Racism is more about looks than anything else. But it's like, you know, like really, really intense dislike for X group of people or Y group of people, you know. And that's what it boils down to. But at the end of the day, when you really think about that, because if you look at racism like that, like, why do you not like this person? Like, this particular person hasn't done anything to you.
Right.
So it's like you're not even giving them a shot to even try to, like, automatically you're discrediting them,
on them.
And you don't even know why. Only because maybe that's how you were brought up, to not like a particular group of people. But you yourself don't really know why on your own you don't like them.
Because you didn't do the research.
Exactly.
All you do is like take the knowledge
you just
that
know
was passed down to you.
Oh, well, we don't like them. Well, why don't you like them? Well, we just never liked them. Well, why did you never like them? Like, what did they do to you?
And then they just shoot off all these like, bullet points that
they've heard, that's been pretty much rehearsed over time. But, you know, because I have a friend that says, you know, his thing is, I hate everybody equally, and I laugh at that. But I understand what he's saying. You know, I don't hate you because of your color, or I don't hate you because you look like this. I just dislike everybody equally because
people.
Exactly.
A lot of people say that.
A lot of people say that. You know, but I don't dislike people. You have to give me a reason to dislike you. And for me, it's not going to matter one way or the other, your race, what you look like, your creed, what you kind of believe in, one way or the other. But my thing is, I don't dislike people. Like, you have to give me a reason to really, really dislike you. And either you're just the kind of person that, one thing I don't like is negativity. You know what I mean? People who are always so negative, like, I'm not okay with that. Find a positive thing about anything. Find one thing.
And if you can't, then just shut up. Like, don't drag the entire party or mood of the room down just because you're not enjoying yourself.
You know, you say, hey, good morning, how you doing? Well, what's so good about it? Okay, well, I mean, who pissed in this chariot?
Exactly.
You know?
You know, but everybody like, knows somebody like that.
Oh, everybody does. Everybody does. But for me, again, it's not a race thing. It could be, it's just a human thing. If you're negative, I don't really want to be around you. You know, but that's the thing with racism. Like, I see racism, I hear about racism, and to me, I automatically think, okay, this person dislikes this group of people for one reason or the other. You know, and then, you know, we get sucked into it so much, you know, social media with certain events that happen. Like the whole thing we're talking about with the cops, you know, with the police situation, you know, last time. You have that going, and then other things you see every day that just kind of, you know, it's just subtle reminders of racism. And it's so subliminal that you don't even really know you're doing it until you realize you're doing it. And you know what I mean? Like, you know, sometimes, you know, we'll make a comment and we're like, oh, that's white people stuff.
Exactly.
Like, why is it white people stuff?
But
some people
like
say, oh, white people music. What is white people music?
Exactly.
I've never figured that out.
Why are you acting white?
Exactly.
Yeah, all those kind of things. But when they say that, again, it's like dissing their own culture. It's saying that, no, you're acting too classy to be a black person.
Thank
you. Need to tone it down.
Exactly. That's the other thing. You know, and that's the other coin. That's the other side to the coin of racism is, you know, you now fight, so to speak, to be different from this other people,
right?
Because you don't want to identify with them, because you don't want to feel like you have anything in common with them,
right?
But the truth is, we all have more in common with each other than you can ever imagine.
Maybe that's what it means when people start saying part of the black community or so. Is that they kind of resign themselves in that frame of thinking that black people act like this and we need to look out for our own and you can't criticize our own and you need to look the other way when R. Kelly does some shit like that. And then that leads to like a whole nother mess of troubles.
Yeah.
Because when they kind of resign themselves to a certain community, that's when they start saying stuff like, oh, we need to support our own, which is good.
Yeah.
But once they go to the point of saying we need to only support our own and start kind of slipping down the vein of not exclusionism, but separatism or so. Because I'm talking to like a couple people a couple urban people, and I'll ask them, okay, so what do you think we need to do to solve like the crime in inner cities and stuff like that? And the friends that I've talked to, their solutions always ended up being, oh, we need to go back to segregating things. And these were like black guys that I was talking to, and they're just saying, no, we need to have black businesses and support the black businesses, but those need to be the only ones within our communities. And I'm like, I think that's slipping down the vein of being racist yourself and him not even knowing
that.
Yeah.
Like, segregation is definitely not the answer.
It's not the answer at all.
It's definitely not the answer. I mean, I don't agree with that.
No, not at all.
And I'll tell you why. Because personally, well, you know me, I've had my own businesses,
right?
You know, but here's the thing, and even setting up some of those businesses, and I hate to say this, but I got most of the ideas that I implemented that actually worked for me, like things that basically get me set on the right path from people that were different looking from me.
Right.
Like, if we were going to spell it out, this is Broken Filter, right?
Yeah, exactly.
If we're going to spell it out, like, I got more from the white people than I did from blacks.
Okay.
You know, the blacks were always like, oh, man, you know, it's hard, man, you know, oh, it's not easy. Meanwhile,
the negativity, like you
exactly.
were saying.
Meanwhile, the other guy's like, oh, it's pretty simple. Just do this, do that, don't do this, don't do that, and do this, and you're good. Right. And I'm like, okay, well, that sounds pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
You know, that sounds like something I can do. So, and it's like, and then it's like, then you get that situation where, okay, then you tell, you know, this is how you do business, this is, you know, what we're doing. And then it's like, oh, well, you know, come on, man, you know, can't you help me out? Like, I mean, come on, man, you're my brother. And I'm like, no, it's business.
Right.
There's no brother, it's business. And it doesn't matter the color of your skin, but you're going to abide by the rules that we agreed on.
Exactly.
You signed the agreement. I signed the agreement. So you can't renegotiate at any point and say, okay, look, just speak. I know what you said, but
oh, you gotta help a brother out. We
exactly,
gotta look out
exactly. We gotta look up. But that's, if I did that, then I really wouldn't be in business.
No, you wouldn't.
You know, and then it's like, because I see it a lot. Like, you know, we say support our own people, but we really don't, because if you start a business, supporting you means I come to you, I purchase from you.
Right.
You know what I mean? Not coming to you and asking for a 5-finger discount.
Exactly.
Every time. Oh, well, Tyrone, oh, come on, you know I'm good for it. Like, no, it's a business.
Right.
You know, like, if I have a little convenience store and, you know, I sell things, and you come in there and be like, hey, Julian, look, I really need a gallon of milk, man, but I don't have money. Well, come back when you have money. Oh, man, come on, Julian, you gonna do me like that?
Exactly.
Now, come on, man, we grew up together. Come back when you have money to buy a gallon of milk. Yeah. So, you know, talking about the black community, like, you know, I don't even know what that means, to be honest with you.
Exactly. That's what I was wondering.
Because people are like, oh, well, the black community. Well, who is the community? Where is the community?
Yeah. What does it mean
to be a part of the black community?
Yeah.
Do I just get grafted because I'm black?
Exactly.
And if that's the case, do I have a say in things that go on?
Right.
And are we supposed to support people because they're black even when they're doing something wrong?
Yeah.
What are the guidelines of this community?
And if that's the case, if you're automatically part of a community, then that just opens the door instantly to racism, because the second your community itself does something, then yes, the rest of the world can look down on all of you for the actions of that, because you actively put yourself into the bubble of a community. And
And that's what I think too. I think it's okay. So we were watching the movie last night, Harriet. It's about Harriet Tubman. So in the movie, she's freed a lot of slaves and stuff, but in the movie she tried to come back to get her sister, and the sister was like, no, I'm not going. And she pulled out a gun and she was like, look, either you're going to be free or you're going to die, And her sister was like, no, I'm not coming with you, and if you try to make me, I'm going to scream. And I was sharing my wife. I said, listen, some people just can't get out of that slave mentality.
Right.
And that's exactly what that was. Like, her sister was just comfortable being what she was, a slave.
Right.
Others were like, look, I can't live like this. there's something better. I have to run where freedom is. So they took a chance, knowing that they may not never get there. They may get caught. They may die on the way there. But if you think to yourself, okay, there's got to be something better than this. This cannot be it for me. I want to do better. But it's a mentality thing. It's a mindset thing.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the moment you say you have a community, you've automatically isolated yourself from the rest of the world, basically. And that in itself makes other people look down on you, because they, I correct me if I'm wrong, but I've never really heard anybody say the white community.
No, definitely not.
It's always the black community.
Yeah.
Or, they use the gay community, the transgender community, which I was actually talking.
Possibly Native American.
Yeah, but I've never heard anybody say the white community.
No, because the second they say that, and then again, it's counted as being racist.
Exactly.
It's the white community.
Why do we have a community and they don't have a community? And,
right. Or at least not able to. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. And it's not dissing the black community. No. It's just questioning the concept of what a community is. Correct. And if it's actually good.
And why do we have one? Yeah. Why can't we just be a people?
Right.
Like we are, because we are a people. Why do we have to be a community? Because the moment we say community, it's almost like, oh, we're redheaded stepchildren, begging for crumbs or something like that. That's the mentality I get when I hear that word, well, the black community. Well, who's speaking for the black community? And then there's one speaking for the black community, and then they say, Al Sharpton is, the leader of the black community. I don't know him. Exactly. I've never met him in my life. He doesn't know what I'm thinking about. Right. How can he speak for me?
He doesn't represent you.
Well, he doesn't represent me. He represents his pockets.
Exactly. See, and the closest thing I could think to a positive about saying something about community is looking at it as a tribe. But that's the closest way of seeing it in a positive somebody could, but it still comes with the same negative baggage as
but here's the thing.
You were saying.
Tribes look after each other.
That's what they see themselves as.
We don't look after each other.
Right. But that's
the worst part about it. See, because that is that side effect of racism that's really eating at us.
Yeah.
Because it's like okay, not only are we looked down upon as black people or whatever case may be, but it's like they now want us to destroy each other, and we're really playing into that without even really seeing that we're playing into that. Because again, you talk about crime in the communities, where the crime's happening in the black communities,
right? Exactly.
And who's the ones doing the crime? The black people. Against who? The black people.
Right.
So we're not looking out for each other.
Right.
But you can say my brother, it's all good until you want something from me that I'm not willing to give up, and you want to take it forcefully. and then we're no longer brothers.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
When it's all cool when I see it, hey, what's up, bro? Hey, give it dap and everything. Give it the head nod, the silent code and all that good stuff. Until you want something from me that I'm not willing to give up, and then it's like,
right.
It's like, yo, man, my brother, man, I ain't your brother, man. I don't know you.
Exactly. It's like you wasn't looking out for him, but you were.
Exactly.
You were cool at first.
You know what I mean?
But I think that's what they're trying to get when they say, oh, the black community, we need to support our own businesses and stuff like that. That's an attempt to look out for people within the tribe or the community or so, but at the same time, it's that slippery slope when they go too far of excluding everything else.
Yeah.
Because like I was saying, for something to be racist, like you were saying, it's to look down on something else.
Yep.
I was just thinking that it's kind of like there's a base level.
Yep.
So there's a base level of what you see other human beings as being. And then there's an above to say, oh, cool, I actually prefer this type of women or something like that. That's my type. So you think, oh, that's a super attractive or so like that.
Yeah.
So that's above. I think the trick to racism is thinking that someone is below that base level.
Exactly.
That's the slippery slope.
Exactly.
It's not that just because I prefer this type of women, I'm racist against all others.
Exactly.
No, all others are still on that baseline, but some people think that some certain others are below that baseline, like less than human or less than everyone else, and that's the horrible part.
That is, and that's just the thing, because you think back about it, I was asking I was asking a friend of mine, he's black, and I said, so be honest with me. I said, if you go to what the government considered the hood, or what we consider, whoever considered the hood, you know what I'm talking about. If you go to the hood, are you a little more cautious than if you are just walking in a suburban neighborhood?
Right.
Where's your sense of security heightened, or what part does it fall? Look, if I'm in the hood, my sense of security is all the way up here.
Right.
If I'm in the suburbs, it's not completely down because of who I am, but it's not all the way up here, but it might be here. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm not really, I see somebody walking in a suburban neighborhood, I'm not as okay, what's this dude up to? As opposed to if I'm in the hood, I'm like, okay, I don't know, this dude.
Right, after hours, sketchy. It's dark, it's too early,
he's kind of
guards
sketchy.
up a little bit. Yeah.
The neighborhood itself doesn't have a good reputation, blah, blah, blah. All this stuff's going through your head. Right. You know what I mean? But I think that is a systematic thing that the government did or is doing, or they did. Whatever.
They definitely did. It did lead to that.
I think the government has a huge hand in that. But then again, it's almost like, okay, this is the way I look at it. It's like, all right, we'll put all of you in this section right here. All right?
Right.
We'll give you some guns. We'll give you some drugs. Let's see what happens.
Which is what they did, basically.
Exactly. Now, us as people, we can come again and say, listen, you don't have to pick up the guns. You don't have to touch drugs. When they come back, let them come get their stuff and take it with them.
Right.
But we go, there's some of us that are going to say, look, speak for yourself. I want the gun.
Right.
And somebody say, listen, I want the gun and the drugs. And then it's like, no, really. And then other people are saying, no, don't do it. But then
just say no.
You start
it's
to
not
do
that
it.
easy.
You know what I mean? But then you start to do it, and they go, interesting what they did with that. Then they go, oh, it's working. And then now they see that, okay, now we're killing each other.
Right.
We're destroying each other. We're selling drugs to our own people. We're destroying our own people with the drugs. And then, it becomes some kind of business or a deal. And, the principles that follow with it. And then now we're actually murdering each other over whatever it is.
Right.
And then it's like the powers that be look at it and go, wow, this is really interesting. So maybe we can get them to destroy each other completely. And then maybe we wouldn't even have this race at all. That's my thinking of it, because...
Oh, I got you.
But then again, we play so much into that. And the moment, somebody speaks up and says, listen, it doesn't have to be like this. Someone's always like, oh, man, you don't know how hard I had it. We don't get anything else in the hood. This is all they give us. This is who we are. No, it's not. It's who they want you to be.
Right.
And you're playing exactly to the, you're dancing to the tune. Right. It's not who you are. It's who they want you to be. And you're taking that role. You're taking it on and you become who they want you to be, and in the process, you lost yourself.
Right.
You don't really even know who you are anymore.
And just to be clear,
You know.
we're not saying that people in underprivileged communities don't have it rough. They do have
Correct.
it rough, and
Correct.
they do not have the same starting
Correct.
point that somebody who was born in a suburban,
Absolutely.
suburban area
Absolutely.
would have. So,
And
but again, they don't have to see that as being the only option. They could strive
exactly.
to try to do better and try to
listen,
better their community as well.
the truth about it is, no one's going to give you anything.
Right.
You're going to have to fight for it. No one's going to hand you anything on a platter and say, oh, here it is. You can have whenever you want to. You know, no one's ever going to give you anything. You're going to have to fight for it. Like,
Right.
even if you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, that's fine. But even still, you still have to fight to be what you want to be. Otherwise, you just be loafing. When I was in college, there were guys, when in my junior year, they were still undecided.
Right. Right.
The parents had money, so it didn't matter. They were just taking classes.
Yeah.
You know, like, I was very focused on, before I went into college, I knew what I wanted to do when I, got out of college and things like that. So I was never undecided. I had a major going in.
Right.
And I focused on my major, and things like that. Like, so it's, again, you have to fight for what you want.
Right.
That's everybody. Whether, you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth or, you just had it rough in the hood.
Right.
But we've seen people that had it rough in the hood and
that have made greatness out of what they...
Absolutely. And if one person can do it, it just takes that same kind of motivation for anybody else to do it.
Right.
And that's always been my story. Like, even I tell people, look, listen, drug dealing is not easy by any means a stretch of it. Now, I'm not condoning it, I'm not supporting it. But think about all the things that go into it. I mean, we've all seen movies out there, those things go down.
Right,
but it takes thinking.
Right. A lot of planning.
I gotta
and
get
thinking.
stuff from this guy over here. Then I got to take it over here. Then I got to break it down. Then I got to sell to this guy. Then I got to make sure this guy's selling my product right. Then I got to make sure that he brings me my money and he doesn't steal from me.
Yeah.
Like, it's a business if you think about it.
Right.
If you take that same attitude, that same zeal, that same ambition, and you transfer it to something that's legitimate and positive, you will get the same result out of it.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be drugs. It could be anything else in the world that's legitimate. It could be alcohol. Get your alcohol license. It could be anything. It could be cars. It could be clothes. It could be shoes. It could be houses. It could be anything.
Right.
You just have to apply the same mentality. Like, listen, I'm not going to let anyone get over on me. I'm going to make it. I'm not going to fail at this. And anybody who tries to get in my way, I'm going to take them out.
Not
in the
way.
Not correct. Not in the sense of that, but in the sense that
you will do better. You will adapt your business to
I'm going to make sure that all my competition, I'm way better than them.
Right.
You know what I mean? And everyone's going to come to me for this, and I'm going to be the household name for XYZ product.
Right.
Because at the end of the day, that's what people are doing in the hood. That's what drug dealing is all about. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, you want to set that precedence that, okay, you have the best product, and nobody messes with you guys because of the name you've made for yourself, the reputation you have, that you're very strict with your business. And you're a shrewd businessman. That's what it is. But you can do that with anything else.
Right.
It doesn't have to be drugs.
I would also think, too, some people choose that path because like you're saying, it definitely takes a lot of cognition and planning and stuff like that. Yeah. But some people might choose it because you get rich quicker with that. Again, I have never dealt drugs or have bought drugs like that, so I don't know exactly how much people make, but maybe it's that they make money at a faster rate than they would if they were like selling shoes or socks or something like that. This is just a question. I don't know.
No, I hear you, and it's very valid. But so here's the thing. All right, here it is. Mm-hmm. So I reference everything with the Bible, right? So I was reading. Seriously, I was reading the Bible a couple of days ago, and I was reading John, and it was talking about how Jesus is the light of the world, and the world didn't understand Jesus because it loves darkness, because the light, the darkness didn't comprehend what the light was, and men love darkness over light.
But why?
And it's exactly, but why? Because, again, and that's what you have to find out. Why? Because the truth about it is people want to do what they want to do, and they don't want to feel bad about it. They don't want you to appeal to their emotions. They don't want to. They don't want you to say, Tyrone, that's bad. Selling drugs.
Yeah,
is bad.
nobody likes to be judged. Basically,
people are dying because of what you're selling, man. Don't do it. Like, nobody wants to hear that. They want people to say, man, you got money, you got this, man, you doing good.
Right.
You got 5 cars, like they want to hear that stuff, but they don't want to hear the bad side of it.
Right.
So men love darkness because they don't understand the light, and that explains a lot about a lot of things in this world if you think about it. Because like you said, nobody wants to be judged. Right. That's why some people say there's no God, because they don't want a God that's going to judge them for the evil things they do, and they don't want to see it as evil. They just want to see it as, I have to survive. But it's not exactly the fact that you have to survive. You can survive a different way.
Right,
you
just
chose that
route. Part down. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you don't want to feel bad about it, or have someone make you feel bad about it because you just want to keep doing what you want to do. You know what I mean? And
I don't know. I would possibly say some people, because like me being someone who doesn't exactly believe in the existence of a God up there. Again, mine's is more of a pragmatic way of thinking. Like, if he were to, like, show himself, or if there were actual evidence to say that, okay, I'm actually here and I actually am judging you guys, and then I would say, oh, okay, I guess I was wrong. All right, that's fine. And then I would be okay with that. It's not just that I don't want to be judged by someone. It's just that I don't think
that you don't want to be judged by someone.
No, it's just that I don't think it's real. That's all that is.
Well,
again, I'm fine with being judged because again, I have faith in the fact that I am a decent human being. So if somebody were to look at me and say, "Okay, Ty, you did this stuff wrong," I'd be like, "All right." Nobody's going to judge me harsher than I judge myself, as I was saying for like the first podcast.
Yeah, that's true.
Any criticisms anybody give me, I'd just be like, oh, okay, that's true. I'm trying to better myself as a human being, so I welcome like constructive criticism. So at least in my personal case, it's not so much about wanting to dodge being judged. It's just so much about me not believing, me just not believing something because someone tells me to. Like, I need to see a rational leading up of evidence. Exactly.
I get it. And for the most part, some of the people who don't believe in God, I mean, yes, that's, there's some. Now, that's a rational side.
Right.
I can understand that.
Okay.
And to a certain point, I get it. The thing about God is, the Bible says, those who come to God must first believe that He is. So if you don't believe starting off, then it's a little hard for every other principle about Him to be relevant to you. So I get that part. Now, some people, there are a lot of people out there who that's not the case for them.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's not that. It's just the fact that they just don't want to be told.
Yeah, there's got to be some people like evil. That. Right.
Like, they want the blurred lines between good and evil.
Yeah.
And they want to be able to justify it.
There's definitely people out like that. Yeah.
You know what I mean? So those ones, those ones, they're a different case.
So for sure, there's definitely people out there who think that way.
Oh, absolutely. And that's, they just don't want to be told what's good and what's evil. And I think for the most part,
but
that has a lot to do with what's going on, because it's like,
so
what gives you the right to take another man's life?
Yeah. So diving into that, the right to take another man's life too. Like, some people wouldn't want to be told what's good and what's evil. Breaking it down, I would say that's because some people want to do an action that they feel pleasurable about, but they don't want to be judged negatively about it. Because again, let's say if somebody does enjoy sex before marriage or so. Yeah. Then somebody will want to be able to do that, but not be looked down upon for enjoying something that's, let's say, natural.
Yeah.
So, and the same thing for, like, I don't know, gambling or drinking liquor or something like that. Like, oh, don't judge me for my life choices when I don't see them as being bad, but from somebody else's standards, maybe they see it as being bad.
Correct. And see, here's the thing. So, the Bible doesn't really put it, well, as good and bad. It kind of does. I mean, it does, but it's not saying it's bad because you enjoy it. It's just saying look a little deeper into what it's really doing to you.
And this is just with person. Everything versus...
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Because when you really study the Bible, you have to understand, okay, why do you do the things that you do?
Right.
Well, when it comes to what we will call evil, or let's just say evil, why do you do it? Now, people will say, well, there's so many excuses for doing it, but, the way we were made, like, we were not really made to do evil things originally, but of course sin got introduced into the world through, of course, the first sin was disobedience, which they were told not to eat of this particular tree, and they ate of the tree. So that brought about a whole slew of things, but the thing about it is, the Bible's not saying, oh yes, it's easy to do, it's easy not to do evil,
right?
And don't do evil because of this X, Y, Z. It's just saying when you do this, it has adverse effects, and we've seen the effects of when someone really enjoys alcohol,
right,
or when they really have a particular drug of choice, and even having sex before marriage, that could also be something that could turn out not to be the greatest for you.
Right.
So it's just saying that these things may be pleasurable, but they're only pleasurable for a certain time, and then after that, it doesn't really give you satisfaction. And as human beings, we keep looking for that next level of satisfaction.
Right.
So it can get you to a place where you don't even want to be. And honestly, I'll tell you firsthand, I've kind of been there, to the point that there was a time in my life where I looked at the mirror and I didn't even know who I was, because I just went down this rabbit hole, and at the end of the rabbit hole, I was just like, where am I?
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, where is Julian? Like, or who is Julian? Like, I couldn't differentiate. Like, I couldn't separate myself from myself.
Right.
Like, I had become, and I look back at some of the things I've done, I said to people, the way I act, and I was like, good gracious, like, was that really me?
And a lot of people are afraid to have that realization.
Yeah.
Is that every time they do look in that mirror, they see. Because again, like, you get to that point not in a sudden instance, like after one night, but it's like after night after night after night of slowly walking down that path. And like you're saying, you look back and you're like, fuck, I've come far down a bad path. And some people get scared when they see that, so they turn their eyes away from it and they just keep on walking.
Correct.
Just keep on going. And any semi-realization that, you're actually being an asshole. No, shut up. Whatever. You're wrong. I'm right. And just blindfolds on, keep going down that path, and refuse to see down any other perspective.
Yeah. And I think that's definitely what happens. But for me, I just knew that if I went any deeper than where I was at the time, I just knew I was going to literally destroy myself.
Right.
Like, not intentionally, but from actions that I probably would choose. So I had to make amends.
Right.
And it wasn't that I didn't know God then, but I just got to the point where, as a human being, like, it's like sometimes you get to that point where even if you're a disciple of Christ and you believe in God, you sometimes get a dose of reality. You know what I mean? Like, a dose of reality where you feel like, okay, God doesn't care. He doesn't care about me. Like, I mean, I believe, I say, we're taught that he does, that he loves us. And then you start to really question things, but the moment you start to give into those thoughts and then you do one thing and then the other, it's like quicksand. Before you know it, you're up to your neck. You know what I mean? Like, so it was just one bad choice after another,
Yeah.
justifying it, and then fast forward so many years later, I'm looking at myself in the mirror and I'm like, who are you?
Yeah.
Like, who are you? And I'm literally looking at myself like, I don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know this guy.
Right.
You know, and that's when I had to buckle down and say, okay, you know what? I have to go back to what I know. And don't get me wrong. Even then, like I still didn't drink. I still didn't, smoke or use drugs or anything like that. But that is not the worst thing you can do in the world.
Yeah,
you know
definitely
what I mean?
not.
That's definitely. I mean, that's just stuff you pick up along the way. People think, oh, the worst thing you could be, you be an alcoholic or you could be a drug addict.
No, these are like first world problems, if anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, in other countries, you could become like a murderer at the age of 9.
Exactly.
Like, that's
and some of the thoughts that I was thinking at the time, like, it was just so dark, like, and that's again going back to that whole thing that men love darkness, and they don't. That's almost like when that's why the Bible says when a child is born into this world, we're supposed to weep because they are going to be faced with all these things.
Right.
There's choices like, and there's no escaping it. You know what I mean? And they're going to find an outlet one way or the other.
Right.
Whether it's good or bad. They're going to find an outlet to try to release or do something, and who knows what that little child that's born cute and everything is going to end up becoming, because I'm sure when Jeffrey Dahmer was born, like his parents were happy, somebody was happy. Oh, look at this cute little boy.
Possibly.
Possibly.
Possibly. I mean, there's a lot of people.
Yeah, there are a lot of people that don't, but again,
abusive
what I mean?
And stuff like
exactly.
that. Broken
exactly.
homes.
Like, that happens, and then who knew down the line that this guy's going to be a serial killer?
Right.
You know what I mean? But again, and some people say, well, it all depends on the upbringing. And like I was saying to someone a few days ago, you can raise a child right as much as to the best of your ability, but it's going to come a point in time in that child's life that he's going to become a man or a woman.
Right.
And they're going to start making decisions on their own.
Yeah.
And yes, they have a foundation that you gave them, but they can also knock that foundation down.
Right. But the foundation does play like a decent sized
part.
Not 100%.
Correct. And it's not 100%, but it always plays a decent. The foundation is more like, okay, I see the foundation, but I'm going to start building something else.
Right.
And when you build and you build and you build and everything comes tumbling down, the foundation is just, okay, let me start back here again and see if I can piece it together again from here.
Right.
That's what that foundation is. And if it's not, but if the foundation itself was never solid.
Right. And then the odds of success of somebody building a great building probably isn't too high.
Exactly.
They still can. It's not impossible. Because there's some people that come from those broken homes or an orphan or so like that can do like amazing things.
Oh, absolutely.
But
absolutely.
It just raises your chance of success if the parent does do a good job in preparing that kid for all of those harsh realities of the world.
Yep.
So as a parent, again, we're not parents, but you are. But you try. Yes, you try your hardest to raise that kid in a way that he has like a level head, so that he is prepared for all that darkness of the world, and that he can resist temptations and grow up and make those decisions down the line that doesn't throw him down a path that he's going to resent in the end.
And another thing I see some parents do is they try to shield their children from the darkness in the world. Don't
definitely
do that.
Here in America.
That's the worst thing you can do to a child, because especially when you do that and you try to make them think that, oh well, the world is just great, it's just perfect, it's just all good, and when they get to that point and they realize that, whoa, the world isn't just good and perfect.
Right.
The world is jacked up.
Yeah.
There's some really jacked up people out here in this world.
Definitely.
Like, don't give them a false sense of, give them the truth.
Yeah.
Like, and that's one thing I did, with my son is like, the thing was, even from a child, from infant, toddler, I always answered his question.
Right.
You know what I mean? It wasn't because I told you so.
Nah, exactly. That's so
If I say, don't do this, Dad, why? Well, because if you do this, such and such and such and such will happen. Well, Dad, why does that happen? Well, it happens because blah, 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 blah.
Right.
And I give him adult
a legitimate excuse,
excuse.
Even if the repercussion doesn't fall on you, it affects somebody else's life in a negative way. And you wouldn't want somebody else doing that to you. Like if you own the store, you don't want people coming in shoplifting, stealing money out of your pocket. So even though you don't feel it by stealing that candy bar, don't do that shit to someone else.
Correct. Yeah. So he knew at a very early age, like a lot of things that probably most toddlers or children or didn't know, and even to the point that I told him Santa Claus wasn't real. People were like, "Oh, why would you do that? You ruined his childhood." No, I don't think so. His childhood was never ruined. Right. I mean, he got pretty much everything. He still got gifts, and he still gets gifts. Yeah. But he just knows where it's coming from.
Right.
And first of all, he's illogically, he thinks logically, like I do.
Wait, so at what age? How did that conversation come about, though? I'm just curious, not judging at all.
No, not judging, but I think he came back from daycare one time, and he was talking about Santa Claus, and I just sat him down and said, "Okay, let me sit you down. There is no Santa Claus. Santa Claus is something that people made up." And he was like, of course, he had a question. He was like, "Oh, Dad, so who brings all the gifts?" I said, "Well, Mommy and Daddy work. Right. That's why we work. We work so we can earn money, and the money we earn, we use it to do A, B, C, D, E, and part of that money is what we use to get you gifts. So when you wake up on Christmas and you see all these toys under the tree, it's because we bought it for you. Do we have a chimney? No, we don't have a chimney. There's no fat man coming down the chimney because we don't have one, son."
Yeah. So that's one of the questions that me growing up in an apartment building that had no chimney broke that reality. I was like, wait a minute, how the fuck is it? And then you go outside and you look up and you see like those two little smokestacks, and you're like, okay.
And you're like, did he really fit down there?
Exactly. And again, that's only like, I don't know, ventilation outlets for the heating system, like the vents and stuff. And you're like, so is he going through that and coming out the vent or something? Like, what the fuck is going on? Like, as a kid, you ask those questions to yourself, even if your parent doesn't.
Was when he went to school and he told his classmates there was no Santa Claus. Like, they freaked out.
Right. He was that kid.
He was that kid. And then he was like, "No, Santa Claus didn't get that for you. Your mom got that for you. Your dad got that for you." And even the teacher was like, "What did he get the stuff from?" I was like, "Well, I told him the truth." He was like, "Well, what? This kid's blah blah blah. The other kids." I said, "Listen, I will tell my kid the truth.
Right.
What other people tell the children is up to them.
Right.
You know what I mean? If they want the child to believe in some make-believe, jolly fat guy, that wears a red and white suit and goes, ho, 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 that's on them.
Right. Like, they can keep believing despite what he says. Exactly. He could be the one kid in class that says, Santa ain't real. Just like, again, like... Well, not related to church, but I could be the one person within church to be like, I'm just here for the speech or so like that. I don't believe he's real. It doesn't force everyone else to think what I think. Again, he's just the one kid in class. It's like, I don't believe. You guys do your thing, but...
So, after that, he got hip to the whole thing, and it was always like, when Christmas came around, here's my list,
Mm-hmm.
So he knew it wasn't Santa Claus. He knew it was us picking, okay, what do we really want to get him out of this list? Is he going to get the whole list? Is he going to get the first 5? What is he getting? And it's always been like that,
Right.
So, but I mean, that's just one of the things, again, in life that, that's that foundation. Like, you don't shield your children from the horrors, the evil of the world. Let them know it. And that way, as they grow up, their mind
can adapt
to it. And they don't go off the deep end into it because they know exactly what it is. Because at a young age, I told my son about smoking, about drugs, about, alcohol. And, I said, look, you're going to be a teenager. You're going to become a teenager. Your friends are going to smoke. Their parents are not going to know. They're going to tell you it's cool. But check this out. These are the side effects of being cool, when you smoke. These are the side effects of when you start drinking and you become an alcoholic.
Right.
These are the side effects of when you start taking this kind of drugs and what it can do to you and potentially what it can do to the future. So you make a decision.
Right.
The decision is going to have to be you making it. I can tell you till you're blue in the face, don't do it. But I can tell you also what will happen or possibly happen if you do it. Right. So you know everything about it. So there's no, oh man, just do this one time and you don't ever have to do it again. No, because if I do this one time, I can get addicted to it. It can ruin my life. Well, how you know that? Well, my dad told me that. Exactly. You know what I mean? I gave it to him. Like, I laid it down.
Right.
I laid it down. Even with college. Even with college, the whole thing about college, is go to college, get an education, come out, get a good job, blah, 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 blah.
Right.
Like, I wish you were never told that. I wish I was never, ever told that.
Right.
But what I told him is this, because I said, listen, you don't like school, I get it. But there's a purpose for school, learn. Knowledge is always great.
Right.
You know what I mean? I said, but now once it comes to college, here's the thing. Here's where it gets a little different. Don't go to college with the intention of getting a degree and coming out and going in the workforce.
Right.
No, don't you ever do that. This is how I want you to go into college. This mindset. You're going to college. First of all, before you even go into college, know what you want to do.
Exactly.
What do you want to do?
Exactly.
Like, what do you enjoy doing? What do you see yourself doing that you can do this one thing for the rest of your life and you will enjoy it and you will have no problem doing it?
And I would say that's where the parent's responsibility is too, to, as the kid is growing up, to subject them to like a ton of different possibilities for them to probably get into. Because if you raise your kid and the only thing they know is, watching basketball or football or something like that on TV, they're not going to know that they can grow up to become, just throwing it out there, astronaut or a zoologist.
Well, exactly.
There's so many professions out there. So they always ask you when you're like in kindergarten, what do you want to be when you grow up?
I want to be a fireman.
Yeah, that's the only ones you know. Like all the way up to like grade school, you only know of like 10 professions. And that's it. Right? You got to pick one of those. But no, you have to expand your kid's world to let them know you could be all of these different things. So what do you like to do? And let me have you use school. Use it as a tool to better those skills in that thing. Don't have school use you as like a piggy bank, but you use school to better your own skills in what you want to grow into.
And that's exactly what I told them. And when you come out of it, instead of you looking for a job, start a business around that thing you've learned and let you employ people to come work for you, because at this point you should be a master of your craft.
Right.
Or at least getting to it. And don't go work with somebody else. Let them come work for you. That's the difference, and that's what we're not telling. Children going all this. People going to college nowadays. To get a degree, and it's great. Of course, I'm not downing college and education because I have one. But don't send your children to school and say go to college, get a good degree, and then go work for a good company. No, worst thing ever. Worst thing ever. No, hone your craft, master it, and then give it to the world.
Right.
And let the world join you as you go along your journey.
Right.
It's a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You're not plugging into the system. You're actually plugging out of the system and having the system plug into you.
Right. You're doing something with your skills.
Correct. Exactly. Right. It's, again, it really comes down to mindset. Everything we've been talking about, from, the black community to the people, in the hood to, sending your child or your children to college with the mentality that they're coming out to get a good job. It's a mindset, and it is whatever mindset you plant in a child growing up, and that's the mindset. They might run with that, and they may develop their own mindset along the way, but everything comes down to mindset.
Right, and give them that good foundation to know that, because a lot of kids, a lot of parents, they don't take that responsibility. They have a kid, make sure that the kid eats, sleeps, they're safe, and that's it. Like, they get tired of, being around that kid all the time. Or the inverse one of, like you were saying, overprotecting them so they don't see what's actually out there. You need to have that balance of allowing your kid to experience life, making his mistakes and learning from them, but also telling them about, certain mistakes you don't want them to have to go through to make.
Exactly.
Don't learn the mistake of, you can get a STD or so like that without
Exactly.
Yeah, without being prepared. Oh,
exactly.
Well, I wish you would have told me that earlier, Dad.
Exactly.
Yeah, certain ones like that.
You want to tell them everything you possibly can, and then let them be empowered with that knowledge. So when someone comes at them with something, it's not foreign.
Right.
It doesn't look like, ooh, what's this?
Exactly.
No one ever told me about this.
Got to dance and dabble and waste all that time of your life fucking up.
Exactly. Yeah. So they already know what it is. Hey, come on, hit this now, man. I know what that is. That.
Right.
That's going to get me high. I don't want to get high. I like the way I think. Stuff like that. You know what I mean? So that's really what it comes down to.
Okay, so that's about the kids. So let's try to wrap up or tie up the black community. That's such a huge package. Correct. There's no way that we can do that. In a few minutes.
I mean, I don't know.
We only skim the surface.
Yeah, we haven't even scratched it at all.
Nah.
I mean, we just brushed on it. Like, it's just, again. Am I part of the black community?
I don't know. What does it mean to be part of the black community? What does it mean to be? Like, I understand wanting to help.
What is the black community?
I don't know.
Is it only comprised of black people?
In all honesty, I feel like I don't even have the right to say I'm part of the black community, but we are black, so obviously I think that might mean that we are. But it feels like to be part of.
Is that what qualifies us to be a member of the black community?
Don't you have to be active to be part of any type of community, or else you're just like leeching on?
How many people are in this community? Is it every black person in America? Is it every black person in the world? Because then you're talking about you got to go to Africa,
right?
You know what I mean? Like, I mean.
And it's not dissing the black community at all. It's just the concept
this
of
is
what
the
a community is.
Who started this community?
Right.
Yeah. I think we should just abolish the whole black community thing.
Just community in general.
Get rid of it.
Community in general. Any community.
Any community. Just get rid of it.
Right. Just the title of community.
Because the fact that, again, that you have a community just puts you in a box that you can't get out of.
Right. But I guess, we definitely see the negative parts about there being a community, but there are the positive sides of.
But what are the positive sides?
It makes it easier to bring awareness to the fact that there are so many of that certain community and possibly fight for change. Kind of like I could see back in the day for like the Martin Luther King days that it would make sense for people to fight for black people to have more rights, because again there was that separatism there because there were two definite different parts. So I can see the positivity in saying, okay, we have to unite and equal things out so they see us as being equal versus being lesser. I can see that. I don't know. Does it make sense to you?
I can't see that. No? I mean, I'm sorry.
Again, that's fine.
I don't see that.
Okay,
I really don't.
But I
don't see it.
But say like I don't know. I would say the same thing for like the LGBT and stuff.
I think we have any group of people.
Mm-hmm.
I think you have a better chance if you don't put yourself in a community. If you just put yourself as people who are this or people who are that, or know, and then you have a better shot of trying to be part of the whole human community.
Right.
If you want to put it that way.
Okay,
you know
I can see that too.
You know what I mean? You have a better chance.
Right. And I could also
because as long as you call yourself a community, you can have another group that will make sure you stay a community and you don't ever not be a community, and you will never have a chance to be something more than just a community.
Right. Not to mention, again, the exclusionary aspect of it. Because, again, being a part of the black community, again, we're black, so we don't know what it feels like to be outside of it, but I can imagine it would make others feel like they don't have any say in trying to step in and help out. So as long as the black community says, okay, we want this, we want that, we want this, it seems like somebody who's white probably wouldn't have any say in saying, yeah, those guys should be able to do this because they're outside and they could be looked down upon from anybody who's inside.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I hear it. And then again, there's the proverbial black card, you know.
Like, yeah. But people use that. I know. That for fun.
I know. People use that for fun.
That's perfectly fine.
I know. But, it's... I don't know. There's a lot to dive into, It's like, there really is, because... we this is something you can talk about this for like I don't know as many episodes as possible.
Exactly.
But I mean,
we're not going to solve anything. All it is like
we're just going to talk about different aspects of it and what it does. You know, and I mean, if you guys like the show, you know, subscribe. You know, hit the button, notification bell, all that good stuff. Thumbs up, thumbs down.
Yeah.
Give us your comments, what you think about it. Again, we're not, you know, bashing anyone or any community in particular. We just want to understand it. If you know what the black community is, let's, you know, comment below. You know, what's your take on what the black community is?
Yeah.
Are you part of it? Are you not part of it? Are you for it? Are you not for it? Why?
Yeah, the why. That's the big part right there.
And
too,
if you're a different race, like, do you feel like, you know,
you're part of a community?
You know, you're part of a community, or there should be a community. Like, you know, let's talk about it.
I know.
You know?
I want to learn because again, you've seen the limited knowledge we have.
I just see people as people, and that's it. If you see people more than anything else, then, you know, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe it's the way you were raised. Maybe it's something. You know, I mean, they're good and bad people, and of every color.
Yeah.
So,
every color, every religion, every creed, everything.
Absolutely. So I mean, but I guess that's it for this one.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll catch you guys in the next one.
Again,
I'm Julian.
I'm Ty. So,
Broken Filter Thoughts.
All right. Peace. All right.